Deep underground, past collapsed tunnels and centuries of dust, archaeologists found a door. Not a broken one. Not a crumbling one. A fully sealed, perfectly intact door, built with a level of precision that shouldn't have been possible for the time period it came from. They tried to open it. It didn't move. They tried again with modern tools. Still nothing. And the moment someone finally got close enough to examine the seal properly, the entire excavation team went quiet. Because carved right into the surface in a language nobody could immediately translate was a single repeating symbol. A warning. Now pause for a second, because this feels more familiar than you think. Have you ever kept a door closed in your own life? Not a real one. A memory, a conversation you avoided, a truth you weren't ready to face yet. We all have that one door we keep sealed shut, because some part of us knows that once it opens, there's no going back to not knowing. That's exactly the feeling this discovery gave everyone standing in front of it, not fear of danger. Fear of what knowing the truth might actually mean. Because here's the thing about this door. It wasn't damaged by time. It wasn't buried by accident like the rest of the site around it. Everything else in the area had crumbled naturally over centuries. Walls collapsed, ceilings caved in. But this door remained untouched, protected, almost like it had been built specifically to survive long after everything else around it was gone. Which raises the obvious question. If this civilization had the technology to build something this durable, why use it only once, on this one single door? As researchers studied it more closely, the questions multiplied fast. The material used in the door didn't match anything else found at the site. Different composition, different construction technique, as if it was either built by a completely different group of people or built using knowledge the rest of the civilization simply didn't have access to. Then came the sound tests. When engineers tapped different sections of the door, listening for hollow spaces behind it, the readings came back inconsistent. Almost like something on the other side was not a simple empty room, but a much larger space than anyone originally expected. Let that sit for a second. A massive hidden space sealed behind a door nobody could open, using methods nobody could explain, marked with a symbol that repeated like a warning across the surface. Some researchers pushed forward anyway, determined to understand what they were dealing with. Ground-penetrating radar was eventually brought in, technology capable of mapping structures without physically breaking through anything. And what it revealed made even the most experienced archaeologists on site stop talking completely. Here's where the real answer starts forming, and this is the part that actually makes sense of everything once you understand it properly. The scans revealed that the space behind the door wasn't randomly shaped. It followed a deliberate, symmetrical design, consistent with something built for long-term protection rather than everyday use, similar to sealed vaults and preservation chambers found in other ancient sites around the world. Many ancient civilizations built specific sealed spaces meant to protect valuable knowledge, resources, or remains from looters, invaders, or natural disasters, using construction techniques specifically designed to be difficult, sometimes intentionally impossible, to open without the exact right method or tool. Which means this door likely wasn't built to keep something dangerous locked away. It was built to keep something important safe. The difference matters more than you'd think. A door built out of fear looks completely different from a door built out of protection, and the symmetry, precision, and material choice found here line up far more closely with preservation than danger. That's the value drop moment right there, and it's honestly one of the most human details in this entire mystery. Long before modern security systems, people were already finding advanced ways to protect what mattered most to them, using nothing but stone, geometry, and incredible patience. But here's the twist that changes everything, so stay with me because this is the part almost nobody expects. When researchers finally managed to create a small viewing gap using non-invasive imaging technology, cameras small enough to slide through microscopic cracks in the seal, they discovered the space behind the door wasn't empty, and it wasn't simply storage either. It was organized, deliberately arranged. Rows of carefully placed items, positioned with intention, almost like whoever sealed this space wanted it found eventually. Just not carelessly, not by force, and not before the right conditions were met. Let that land for a second. This wasn't a door meant to stay closed forever. It was a door meant to test patience, precision, and respect before revealing what was inside. Which means the real mystery was never about breaking the door open. It was about proving you deserved to see what was on the other side of it. That is the real dopamine spike of this story. It's not about brute force winning. It's about the realization that some of the most important things in life were never meant to be taken. They were meant to be earned, understood, and approached with the same care as the people who protected them in the first place. So where does that leave us? The door was never trying to keep the world out. It was protecting something valuable long enough for the right people, with the right patience and the right respect, to finally reach it. And maybe that's true in your own life too. Some of the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest truths, the biggest doors you've been standing in front of aren't blocked because they're impossible. They're just waiting for you to approach them the right way. If a single sealed door can hold this much mystery, this much history, and this much intention behind it, imagine what other locked secrets are still out there, waiting for someone patient enough to finally open them the right way. Subscribe because the next mystery might be even harder to believe than this one.